Good evening everyone, I'm Andrei Malakov. We are live on the Russia TV channel. 9 months ago, in the forest near Smolensk, during the party of the Golden Youth, 16-year-old Vlad Bakhov disappeared. The search continued for several months. More than 3,000 volunteers took part in it, attracting search dogs, but the teenager could not be found either alive or dead. Father, we live. One day you look into the forest and immediately see how to say remember that this picture cannot even sleep calmly. Go to sleep and think that somewhere the city is abuzz with rumors suggesting that the teen was killed and high-profile parents. They managed to hide the traces of the children's crime. After all, it is known that there was a lot of alcohol and prohibited substances on the birthday. How many days after the disappearance of Vlad's parents visited the scene, found tire tracks on the ground, words "save Mother on Earth" was written, word "save" not understood at all. That this evil joke, any as if would this Vlad came and wrote this words. What are the 12 friends hiding? Missing Vlad Bakhov. Why children and parents will agree to remain silent. Neighbors, who says peed on him, said that yes, probably can be bullied. Clearly there is a criminal connection here, and the fool is clear. Here is how the father of one of Vlad's friends, Alexander Yaskin, aka the head of the administration of the rural settlement of Titivchinsky, reacted to our correspondent. Settlements of the Demidovsky district correspondent. A serious question is about the disappearance of a boy who is involved. Yaskin presses the correspondent's leg. If I pinched my leg, look how much it hurts. Today live our own investigation of the case of Vlad Bakhov details the mysterious disappearance. Parents of the missing Vlad, Anastasia Fedeva and Andrei Bakhov, in our studio. As I understand it, you've been trying for 9 months to figure out what happened. What's going on? Tell me. As I understand it, the whole city was looking for, everyone was involved, but not a single clue. Yes, which would have led to the search for the boy. No. Yes, the 9th month. We can't find. I don't know, neither alive nor dead. No, nothing. That with him there is no evidence, no suspects, nothing. Here is for these months. Understandable, can be shock for these guys, children, high-ranking officials and such golden youth. This terrain. They could not to speak, but modicum anyone with you talk to, modicum anyone not know. Are we tried to? Yes, I girl with one talked, our boy one of companies came in search of, and more none of the children were in search of, but one. None of the parents did not come. Never any words of sympathy expressed, was not offered any help at all. The main thing that it is strange that when the boy went missing, none of these children are not called, neither you nor the grandmother. You, Andrew. No, that is almost, when the search was already in full swing, so to speak, when it received a statement to the police, and because the police had already arrived with the children to my house and asked Flat home. I said not what happened, but I did not explain to me, told that we were resting in the forest there. Tatum 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 ta. Vlad moved away and disappeared. What time did you arrive? It was closer to 12 at night, but it is interesting that among the guests in this young girl was Dasha Gurbanova. Girl birthday Andrew. She's the daughter of a local police chief, and when the boy boy was gone. She called the police, and my father, who arrived on the scene, began a search together with children, or let's say take the kids from this point to understand. He was brought there. He says he went there, speaks for them at 9 o'clock in the evening, and they went to the center of the city house of culture at the disco because the children thought he could go. Vlad came out of the forest on foot and thought he reached the city and went to discotheque, decent distance to walk. But grandma, when I agreed with Vlad that he will go for his birthday, Vlad had promised grandma I'd be back at 10, and when 10 it was not, grandma Besplatnosti beginning to sound the alarm and phoned my friend Vlad. Vlad Maxa Juma far which nothing not told grandmother that a boy disappeared until sort I home sleep I not know. Then all ended, although by the time he already knew that a boy disappeared, and let's say so would say grandmother start to sound alarm already Bezpiatnet 10, and as is obtained that here is in the early, it was clear that someone somewhere is lying, and then in 1 second all children as per Sorkenemu have become all to speak one and the same version of fear, communicate with anyone but this perhaps when they took testimony, and we learned from tears that they tell the story exactly everything, so that they have a folded testimony in principle that they probably aren't lying. And as I understand it, in search of an experienced police officer, the police chief is going to look for the boy first in the club but not home, so home they came too late to look for him, but he did not went to look, he just took her to the children, has not taken any measures, brand he went home as he says, and why it turned out so. Then 3,000 volunteers, when emergencies ministry helicopters, when one of those kids who was at this party except for my only one boy, and no one took part in the search, no one. I don't know how they say they were forbidden. It is true that the next day when your son disappeared, you glued a banner on the wall. We hung this banner on the wall and passed the daughter of Vistabanov, and I turned around and just cheekily, brazenly in the eyes laughed. I still thought, well, it would be better if you put your head down and didn't look at me, but she was smiling cheekily, and you even came under suspicion. As I understand, you were even a suspect in this case. Well, we were all like relatives, especially Vlad's stepfather Ivan, because he was very active, he was the main suspect. And most importantly, what is interesting is that this party birthday golden youth, there is no video, all were taken over the phones from the children, all the videos were uniktajani. The only video that survived after the festival you will see now, it is just a drunken Vlad tries to climb as high on the roof of the gazebo where sediat the children themselves. This is the birthday of 18 years they celebrate Andrei Sidorin. Let's see, this is the only video that was available, attention.
Давай, иди сюда, я тебя держу. Тихо. А как вы здесь, не знаете? А мы не знаем. Еще я тебя держу. Дай руку, вторую давай. Руку дай Стасу. Вторую руку. Поймали. Давай, держись, лови. Давай, держись. Я 80 килограмм. Стой. Поднимайся. Хватай, отпускай мою руку, дебил. Я не могу.
Ну все, пусть будет, там засядет.
А Даш, через боль и пот, но мы зарезали.
And so this is almost the last video on which we see your son alive, while we see that his hands are scratched in blood. But not one dog cannot take a trace in an amazing way. The whole place of the party, not a single bottle, everything was cleaned, and the feeling that there was just a complete disinfection of this place. Natalia Vasagov and Nicholas Arsega, special correspondent is Telskogo Home Komsomolskaya True 2, are investigating. You were on the spot and were also in this forest, and here are your impressions that you received communicating with local residents, with the guys, and saw the scene of the tragedy. When they came to Demidov from us, Mesny residents of course did not shy away, all with удовольствие рассказывали different versions of what happened, because these rumors live in the city. But when we tried to talk to at least someone from these guys, it seemed completely impossible. The only person who spoke to us on the phone is Maxim Jumaev, and that's because they caught him off guard. And he told us in 2 sentences, but I don't remember anything. I was told by the girls that Vlad was missing, and that's it. Everyone else just shied away from us. We tried to talk to a girl by Gurbanova, Deputy Chief Impurity Palik. He actually told you why this story do. To get my air back in the press. To talk about me and my daughter again. That is, a person thinks only about himself first, and not about the fact that the guy is missing. And I must say that this Demidov is engaged in general. He is responsible for the main district police department in the Demidovsky district and for cases of non-young children. I mean, this is actually a story in his department, and he would be interested in finding a guy, but he is on the contrary. We are here somehow. Nikolai, you are still an experienced journalist. You also think that teenagers are hiding something, and this is a common conspiracy. For my extensive journalistic experience, he shows that if a person is put up with some kind of paklep at the same time, the person is not to blame. He himself usually runs after journalists and tries to prove his innocence. The situation is reversed here. No matter how many times we tried to tell him the truth, he refused to tell it. Well, that's him. The teenagers themselves, 11 people with the exception of one who went to the army, almost all tried to establish some kind of connection, and no one, it seems. I want to say more than that. Our correspondent Sergei Semesko came to the local police station trying to talk to the father of Dasha Debanova, who was at the birthday party, and look at the chase that almost ended this meeting. Attention. Before building a complete picture of what happened on April 6, our group decided to meet with this person. The first person who arrived at the scene to help the teenagers was the father of one of the participants in those events, and, ironically, the deputy chief of the local police department. Not bind, we decided to try calling on our own. The caller is talking. It turns out that just talked and now does not answer the phone. In the best traditions of the chief was not in place. It seemed strange that the moment when we approached the police building, in the building immediately began to bustle, and of course the car that is parked means that Viktor Petrovich is at work and most likely is in the building, but we did not find him. We hope that we will find him later. During the lunch break, Viktor Petrovich came to his house, but then began to get strange after our visit to the workplace. Deban and the film crew began to closely monitor, and not only the police officers can just then relatives of the deputy chief, who did not want to let us out of sight and keep Viktor Petrovich, but did not want to talk to the camera. It is clear that avoiding meeting with us lost their appetite. Returned to the police department. Correspondent is not particularly favored here. We still managed to see Viktor Petrovich only by chance and glimpsed his car on the move, but apparently recognizing us, Debanu disappeared, almost hitting the child winding through narrow streets at high speed. See, what do you think? Why so runs the chief of police, which seemed to was to seek a meeting can be. I'd like to amend which journalists said he was not the chief of police. It is in fact a senior policeman in charge of the minors, and he escorted the criminal case, and in such matters it may be. The girl's father once arrived at the place, and they were obliged to start a search case and had to look for it. As for the girl, his arrival at the scene without an investigative task force before the arrival of this of course also ask a question at the scene. He had no right to be without an investigative task force. For me it is very strange that the investigators who are conducting cases and not they announce the participation of large search organizations called Lisa Alert. Nevertheless, she is not looking for the son. There is no mention of his name at all on their website, on their forum. 3 moments strange, which me it seemed it not strange correctly have made that have put these all guys, not 11 people and 12 were interrogated, were conducted polygraphic research. Nevertheless, now with them no one works. Here isn't many such moments. For example, for me it is quite obvious in the forest to look for it, probably no longer worth it because the first 3 days is the maximum. There is 90-95% that it could be found. After that no longer searches. So all search operations, they are more like the Boy Scouts, need to search through databases, need to make a request, need to deal with the investigation tightly. I know that Vlad's stepfather Ivan Fatov and his mother were looking for him as well. Let's see what you told us at the scene of the tragedy, how you found the inscription. Attention. Instead of the picnic here to celebrate the birthday glade, there are grilled kebabs here. Rested to be here. I can say that it is just unpleasant memories. That 1 week was hoping all the same that we find him alive. Say guys, but even after 3 days have passed when I realized it was not him, there are no traces of had anything. They were just 13 people. Grilled kebabs, drank here, and after an hour and a half said that Vlad already pretty drunk. Video here it is where they helped get the tent, even though he saw what the condition is and how it could end. Unknown video. Not until the end of May he fell from there, and also can't say whether it was so or not. Someone had seen him leave. What is not seen that he went exactly where. I can't understand. What a bunch of garbage in the woods anyway. Who says down the road he went to the side of Demidov's unclear time. Also do not understand how someone who is 17-30, who replied in 7 hours last time we saw, lived in the woods one time, slept for 3 hours a day past the forest works, or a very tight 16 April when once again came in search of here tracks from a quad bike. When he came closer he saw was the inscription, the word save, as if they did not understand that this is an evil joke. Some as if it was Vlad who came and wrote that word. Once again, good evening everyone. We are live. Those who have just joined us 9 months ago in the forest near Smolensk during the party youth of 16 Vlad Bakhov. The search continued for several months. They took part more than 3,000 volunteers, attracted dogs, but the teenager failed to find neither alive nor dead. Live. One day look into the woods and see immediately remembered this picture and cannot sleep. Go to bed and think, well, is a city away from the rumors. Someone suggests that a teenager was killed and senior parents managed to conceal the crimes of the kids. Know that the birthday party was a lot of alcohol and illegal substances. A few days Vlad's parents visited the scene and found tracks in the ground of the tire and the word rescue rescue on Earth was the written word save did not understand at all that this is a cruel joke, as if came and wrote a word that hide 12 friends of the missing Vlad children and parents if they agreed to remain silent. Who says Pixel of it said that before mocked associated with crime during the commercials we were joined by Vlad Very Bahal Ivan Fatev. I know that you lived practically in the woods 3 weeks in this investigation. They say the investigation is going on. I resent everything, Andrew. The fact is that I was the main suspect in this case. I had searches that took place after the decision was made a few months later. That is, if from the very beginning to start, when we found out when Vlad disappeared. The next day we went with Nastya and his brother to the peasants in the forest, and in principle in the forest, lived in the forest densely for about a week, and on the third day we already understood 6 it in the next 500 m. There is no anxiety. You also thought that the place cleaned is too clean a place where parties take place. We walked the teens a place as if there were 3 people sat drinking a bottle of beer on smoking cigarettes, and sold it there. This was not such an understanding that they arrested the company, and when we started looking, the lawyer is recognized as being a consequence of what the researcher, or that is, the child, was gone. We had a researcher, Demidov, and she's fairly young, from the forest, did not go, and then say what the investigations for, not interview witnesses, collect any evidence. Nothing happened except that some things from the picnic Valia just lay around in her office, just lay around. After that, when we realized, and most importantly, I can now make a mistake, but when they returned the things, they were washed for some reason correctly. It felt like they were washed, but in itself I panicked. Why? Because either look for a B, investigators ask a witness whom we interviewed, whom we found, who said among other things that in the parks heard, and the company went and said that you go here, we don't want to swear at the end of us, that said a cleaner that you sit here even now, companies that you are sitting, we need to do something. These witnesses found Andrew when they came to him, the investigators, 2 weeks. Naturally the witnesses' grandmother talking technicals, janitor. What they refused, they said we know nothing, and it's true that the whole town is buzzing. The company has posted a stream where they mocked Vlad, say defecated on him, was kicking him. I thought it was to say why this video that we have. I got myself one of the members of the company, of which I was also told that I was of the group that from the picnic, then threw off video recordings, photos, then withdrew, dissolved. I ran to Smolensk when the case was already redone at that time in a special department of the investigative committee. I ran there and said withdraw urgently, phones, take the video. It was really there, and so when we started to withdraw these phones to check all this, I noticed the question was not implemented. The investigation is going on as a whole, it is just going on as a consequence, just go, and most importantly, as I understand, the search in the house of Dasha Devanova, who laughs in tea. Face of her father, who hangs photos of his disappeared son, was not conducted at all. Was not. Answer: if 12 friends, let's see whose children, whose parents participated in this beautiful party. So, Dasha Gurbanova we already know. And so Dasha Gurbanova we already know that her dad, Viktor Petrovich, deputy chief of police in Demidov district, Smolensk Oblast. Andrei Sidorin is a birthday boy, his uncle is a former deputy and entrepreneur Sergei Anatolyevich. Sergei Konashenkov, his father is an entrepreneur. Vasily Kondratev, his cousin Sergei Konashenkov. Danil Kondrashkov, his father is a district police officer. Askan Stas, the Pope, the head of the administration. Alina Mironova is Stas's girlfriend. And then there is Kirill, Marina, Maxim, Valery, Dmitry. We just didn't have time to find out what the parents do. And so according to the victims, let me remind you that Dasha Debanova calls her father Ed and he begins to organize the search while first going around the perimeter, look at this territory, then go to a local nightclub where they find themselves there at 9 in the evening or later. We visited this club. Let's take a look. Now we will conduct an investigative experiment, find out how long it will take to get from the house of Viktor Debanov to the scene of the accident. And so, let's go. We are all there. It took us less than 15 minutes to get to the place. The weather conditions are much worse than on the day of the incident and we were moving at a low speed, probably not as fast as a father could go to help his daughter. Now we will conduct a second investigative experiment and find out how long it takes to get from the scene to the local club where the teenagers went in search of Vlad Bakhov. And so we went. Here we are on the spot from the same club. It took 13 minutes, 37 minutes to get here. I don't know if it works or not. Let's try to find out if there were teenagers here and what they asked. Dasha was that girl and Andre probably. They went here past then walked. I can't say for sure. The time is somewhere around 9 o'clock but not at the end of the disco, maybe at 10. I don't know about it but they came. One of the guys says Vlad was not. Vlad was rarely there, maybe once or twice in 2 months. When Vlad the forest, in answer to this the building he dropped mine and broke his nose this time and he seen the right hand is clearly visible in the fragment in the blood that is. He felt no pain, he didn't feel, he didn't understand what he's doing is not adequate condition and all were adequate is relative to what state that you're talking about. A pro-version Don could just fall out but they would be scared that they're unable to him to assist and help contributed to crash this 2.3 point dogs. Regarding dogs who came, one dog, it is a fairly long leash, meters probably 30-40, and she went around the place where there was a fire and lay down. 2 dog, a small roll around the camp and went to the pipe to the same dog handler said that rather there he washed or it was washed there but further where there is a river there, but it ends nowhere in the river. We are inclined to believe that it was taken out. I do not say that the children are to blame. I do not say that this is not a crime. No one can hide without the participation of an adult experienced person. Are you as a chronologist that you say here described as behaved dogs? I would like to clarify this point. The dog handler with the dog was given what kind of thing in order for the dogs to be given? Slippers from the pool with bleach, a backpack and a jacket that was not his that he could sometimes wear. That is, his body was not given, it was just a backpack. In the backpack was someone else's jacket and plus there were things from the pool that he went. There are sneakers, swimming trunks. What about other things? Were we provided only a briefcase and slippers? All his things he turns out he left in one t-shirt in source tights. And how were these things transmitted to him? That is, who transmitted these things? These things were brought by the police who, when the dog handler arrived, gave him these things. And he would step aside and give the dog a sniff. But if I'm not mistaken, dogs don't react to bleach. That's the point. Put it less somewhere. First, how many of these things were delivered correctly? Because it is clear that things are basically a prenatal chat. Your son, they naturally carry a source of smell. But things must also be transported according knowingly in something so as not to mix these odors to knowingly give the dog exactly the smell that you need to look for. This time, second point, what time it has it passed since the dogs arrived and started working. The first dog came to my house about 2 o'clock in the morning. How much time has passed? If, as the children said, he disappeared at 7 o'clock, from 7 to 2 o'clock, this period of time according to the area where it happened, the dogs are able to earn time. Here is what herd I have emerged. It's as with a picture. Clearly the youth caused something not good to the child by carelessness. That is, the guy sang, the guy took some illegal drugs, they joked what it happens to young people so affected him. Remember a lot of cases when teenagers take with diet healthy men from these spices. The guy got apparently some drugs, alcohol, plus the guys mocked him. In the end something happened to him very good. They were scared there. At this age did not know what to do with it, came and realized that you just have nobody, no business. But it is very strange that after this people, when they commit some crime, and if as you say it should be crime, say they will not go to the disco, they hire their teenagers. My opinion is that dad could say you should behave as if nothing happened, you should say they're all the same. The polygraph passed, but I said pass the polygraph because it did not sit outside the body. This version may well be less. Listen to the coordinator of the search and rescue team. He told us how the search took place, as well as voiced his version. Attention.
Let's listen to the rescue team coordinator. He told how the search took place, as well as his version. However, the search area that you identified in the first days was more than 70 square kilometers. Versions that we consider a priority. He was walking for a reason. Most likely there was a tragic accident there, fell asleep while cooling. This is in our understanding from the very first day of the search. We do not know 2 hours of time from the moment when they left this place to where they celebrated their birthday to the moment when they returned. Past hour or two. Here is this, here is now, not know that was happening on this territory there. No one was, they left, Vlad remained. He could go out, you know, to go which way, could not come out in Lubitino. Example Zebra, he could get on the road to the village road, there are turns not clear or not clear the car, it could be down to drive. Version 2, that wild beasts, which at the time of our arrival were plentiful in the place, including the bear, there was some bait bear for hunting. The key to something we talked with local residents, with people with kids, the teenagers who were at the event to celebrate birthday, which are seen in the camp. What they say gives us understanding that crime drillers, the component from their side in this story, is not present.
In fact, we say this, forgetting about the presumption of innocence. You cannot specifically accuse these children and the same father Dasha Debanova that they are guilty of hiding Vlad's body and so on. There are simply big questions about the behavior of children. The guy disappeared, they say we rushed to look for him. Well, look for a policy dream, logically go home, whether he came home to his grandmother who he was becoming this time, or to his father, but they did not go home. That's it. Tell grandmother of attention was all the kids respected people, and Vlad dysfunctional family said substitution of militia. The son of the deputy of Askin, such one, the son of a policeman daughter called dad once. Dad got there to pick them up, then was called to the investigative committee. The children were all explorers and he went there on the birthday of her. Nobody called. Kids say I speak as it is. I say they're all his friends. He constantly come here, then brought a wooden hat, clothes, hoodie here, all sorts of things. To this said he vomited. I apologize for the expression, and they washed it. No one knew him, and then a stranger began to wash. Everyone was sober. One Vladik was drunk. He still left the phone at home and said, Baba, he is discharged anyway. I'm from another phone by rank somewhere. At 15:10 I started calling this number. Hello, where Vladik? And I said long ago left long ago and where Vladik was there according to them. He disappeared a long time ago. They were looking for him. Did he ever leave the house? In fact, we say this, forgetting about the presumption of innocence. Not specifically accuse these children of the same father Dasha, Gurbanova, that they are guilty of concealing the body of Vlad and so on. There are just big questions about children's behavior. The guy gone speak. We rushed to find him. Well sought policy logically dreamed to return home. Did he come home to grandma's where he was this time or father? But they didn't go home. I left one time, my daughter left. It was like this. Yes, I left for a few days, but she knew where he was. He went to school and said check whether I go to school or not. Let's now make a short ad given in our program by the guys who participated in the search for Lada, as well as our correspondent from this company. What will 12 friends say in a phone conversation? The faster one of them hangs up after the ad. Once again, good evening to everyone. This is a live broadcast on TV channel Russia. If you have just returned from work, just turned on your TV sets, which children of officials are hiding the last batch, 9 months of searching, 20 volumes of the criminal case, 12 witnesses and no suspects. Earlier in the program, friends celebrated the birthday of an acquaintance in the woods nearby. Young people had fun drinking alcohol and hookah and perhaps took banned substances. But the loss was not immediately noticed by the father of one of the girls, the local police chief, who for the first time did not inform anyone about Vlad's disappearance for hours. Then relatives and volunteers and local residents joined the search for the teenager. A few days after the search began, the boy's parents scratched the word save on the ground. Put this message: 12 teenagers categorically refuses to remember the events of that day and that hide and highly placed parents. Could Vlad have left alone? In our studio, Grandma Nado Galina Ivanovna, who let him go for a birthday with which he did not return. Hello Galina Ivanovna, hello again, so that we understand where we were invited to this holiday. Not that he went as we were told during the investigative experiment. It was April 6. My life was divided before and after. I don't know how much. I curse for this day that I let him go. There came and said, Grandma, can I stay with you tonight? I say, why don't you go to your dad? My folder won't let me go. I have to go to my birthday party. I started asking where that, with whom you will be. He told me everything. Grandma, don't worry, I'll be there at 10 o'clock, even earlier. When the police came to you, who told you that the teenager was missing in the yard at 5 o'clock in the morning? Only you were informed. My daughter called. I'm sorry, Vlad called you at about 17 o'clock from another phone. I got a call about 3 o'clock from another phone number. Said, Grandma, I know this phone number. I know this guy who has it, Maxim Jumaev. Says, Bab, if that call on this number, i.e. so you bestlatnosti through 10 of this Maxim and left him. The phone was disconnected. Then I received a text message about 15 minutes later that in the area of action in the network phone. I called. I say, where is Vlad? Call Vlad. And Vlad, there is no. I say, not understood, and that you not together. Well, he stayed there, and I've been sleeping at home for a long time. I say, all right then. So he won't admit that your grandson is missing, and that's how we call these guys who no one wants to talk about. Attention. Dasha, good afternoon. Hello, I'm calling about Vlad Bakhov. Tell me what happened there. Why I should contact you, I don't understand. The investigation is helping me. I don't want to continue the conversation. If you want to know, we don't mind. Please come to the investigative department and talk to our investigator. No one tells you anything about what we're hiding or anything like that. Are people talking to you? Answer. What other questions do you have? There is no here is simply precisely that no one responds, all respond only a consequence, and at a consequence. Are you hiding something? Do you know where Vlad is? Maxim, can we meet? About Vlad Bakhov. Talk.no. You can't help wondering where Vlad is. I try not to think about it because I'm sick of it. What can I tell you? I have nothing to say to you. What do you want? Why do people say that in the video you are bullying a guy? I have nothing to say. Go to the investigation department, read my paper and asked it. Why didn't you tell your grandmother right away? Because I came home and went to bed. What do you want? No, well, you said that Vlad stayed there and you came home. And you knew full well that the search was already underway. Let's go a little later, please. My head hurts. Let me call you myself. Hello Andre, good afternoon. I'd like to talk to you. No desire. No desire because you know where Vlad is and you don't want to talk. Or why? Well, let it be so. We don't want to meet you, that's all. Why all this running around? We're not playing cat and mouse. Yes, no one is playing cat and mouse, but I don't want to meet. You know this story won't end like this. If the guy is not found, what good is it? I won't talk. All why? We don't hide anything, we just don't want to get in touch with you. All good day. You as the examiner tell the boys allegedly passed a lie detector, but after a while many people believed that they could prepare, so they knew how to answer my question number 1. Who was the initiator of the polygraph? The purpose contained 3 questions. Was killed, nowhere, went home. The polygraph strife through which the company passed a polygraph test on the part of the guys after 2 days, maybe 3 days to a week, and all the result. All telling the truth isn't involved. If you go back to this video, the only one which has remained with this party, the teenagers claim that video made at 17 o'clock. The grandmother says at 15 the call sounded and she normally talked to her grandson. We found witnesses to another party, an acquaintance of Vlad, who celebrated his birthday not far away, and at 17 o'clock this is how he describes the boy's condition. We arrived hours 5, saw this company, there was Vlad, we said hello to everyone, Vlad came up and talked to him, he asked me to bring him to Smolensk, and we agreed on how long we would go, we agreed that he would call me. He was in an adequate state, not drunk. Well, I don't know if he was drinking, but it wasn't obvious from him that he was very drunk. You spoke so normally, nothing bothered you. No, naturally, he was calm, they were in their own company. I think it is unlikely that he would say bad things to someone. I saw this video where Vlad climbs on the gazebo, in an inadequate state when I was he was sober, definitely not like this. Natalia Bruver and her son Artem, who helped search for Vlad, are in our studio here today. Let's invite them to talk. Good evening. Hello. Well, what do you think? Why children 9 months later, no one can find anyone? Children are hiding something. I think that, yes, on the search here was from the entire company. I saw only the words of Putin Valery. One person was, that is, no one was on the search for anyone. One Deban was on duty. I saw him, and so number 1 of the parents was. I saw them. There was a version that he could have been killed by wild animals, attacked by a bear. Let's listen to the local huntsman what he says. Attention. I'm here, the police are here, Podishal, here sat Poiskavakar. You cannot say that some company was resting here, usually garbage mountains, and here was as if under a broom all, nor a cigarette butt was not. And there was a riot and the soldiers were and Salwar search. This was. Who here only was not. And there were locals here. As everyone says bear usually killed the beast. Well, there were no such cases. There have been cases that people were missing. missing, but it is always found. How many and at night brought out of the forest from the swamp? Well, they found corpses. We go the path of the wolves, went along the path, look at the rags, the leg, the man is lying, called, all came, took away. But they also went 50 meters from the road lay. If he was here somewhere, they would have found him anyway. Well, there were so many people, and turntables and quadrocopters were allowed, but there was no more foliage. All clear. Who says what? That there are drug addicts and smokers or something, I don't know, all sorts. But as they said that in such a state as he was drunk, I think that he would not have gone far. Well, the more Salakavala there on the asphalt, I think so. Here, if there were these teenagers, they wouldn't have thought of that, never. This is the work of adults. You can ask 2 questions. By the way, I am very grateful to Sergei Dmitrievich, a senator of the Smolensk region, who is on our program today. Yes, your question. Inconsistencies, you said you Vlad called Paladka 15 hours of the day, right? Yes. So well. The video was recorded there in the sun. Everyone understands that this is the day. At 17 o'clock, a friend of his sees him and talks to him as a completely sober person, as a person could get drunk from 15 o'clock to 17 o'clock. It is actually 2 hours. And sober up. At 17, it's not saying that he was sober. He might be lying, but we don't know. Look, I'm for you in any case. I just want to understand. We have a video of bullying that we can't get, and we are asking now if someone can help with Instagram, with a contact that the investigation does not allow us to get a live video that is clearly described by several people clearly. Vlad is sitting with his hands covered, and the girls are mocking him. Describe a few people, and it is either described or it appeals from the fact that the humiliation, i.e., we are this video from the first day when we found out we are trying to achieve it, get it. But we don't have it, as it is impossible to get video from phones that were blocked. Fragments, I even know already, dug up that fragments of video, they remain imprints in the memory of phones. We do not have it. We have at least 5 witnesses who describe not only the video, but also the details. Let's hear what the neighbors are saying. Attention. The boy was offended, and what do they say? Why were they offended? Who says Pili even for him? You were bullied, right? I must have fallen into the wrong company. Why can't they find it for 8 months? Like falling through the ground, we will say that there is neither a living nor a dead body. For us, as they say for the residents, this is a strange story, mysterious, as they say. Maybe some animal tore, well, at least some rag was, a cross stitch or some pants, a piece of something, well, it should stay, and then nothing at all, as if the aliens took it away. We are all sane people, and he could not have disappeared, especially in Demidov. If there is some kind of criminal system, they will figure it out. What do they say about bullying? They said that yes, maybe they were mocking, they made fun of him, and maybe they nailed him and buried him somewhere. The neighbors even say that they urinated on him. And there was a video of some kind. Well, such rumors were, yes, this was the system, immediately, initially, then something hovered and that's it. I also sluicelik that would be all they have, that one way, one another, as if I could not even type a single version. Agree. If the dog leads you to the road and then there are no tracks, where did that go? And there is nothing. This is clearly connected with crime. Here the fool is clear. Further in our program, as the head of the administration for nearly beating correspondent at Channel Russia. You will see everything with your own eyes, after the ad. Good evening again. To all who have just joined the live broadcast previously in the program. On April 6, 2019, a teenager in the Smolensk region was invited to a birthday party. This was done by Andrei Sidorin. The company consisted almost of children of officials. There was a lot of alcohol and prohibited paraphernalia on the holiday. According to the teenagers, at some point Vlad became ill. He left and no one saw him again. Earlier, we managed to find out that on social networks previously broadcast a live broadcast with bullying Vlad and rumored to be a teenager humiliated and beaten. But all these videos disappeared. We also discussed why the first to arrive at the scene of the incident was the father of one of the girls, Deputy Police Chief Viktor Demidov, who did not report the boy missing to the child's relatives. The studio asked questions about why the house and car of the deputy chief were not searched, and we also discussed several versions that the teenager could have frozen in the forest, he was attacked by wild animals, he was killed and taken out. During the ad, we were joined by a journalist from Smolensk, Natalia Leshchinskaya, who also took part in the search for Vlad, and she also has her own assumptions. What do you think? Good evening. Good evening. I believe that this is a single-digit criminal history. Because all these almost 9 months we're conducting an investigation, you can say with the parents. In fact, it is difficult to achieve any truth at our regional level. Because we were gathered by the press 3 weeks later, it was the only pre-conference and 9 months of silence. And initially, this topic was discussed actively in social networks, and I am sure that this video about which Ivan says it exists, not just so there was such information that someone did streams, filmed Vlad was bullied, initially. Just a week later, we began to send letters to the editor, and they were like unknown people, just as some were presented as psychics. I have screenshots of correspondence that an unknown person writes that this story is directly related to Dasha Debanova, and perhaps they had some kind of sexual relationship in this forest. But then in the state of affecta happened. What exactly happened there is not called. Further, this person writes that most likely it was a death by negligence, and he describes, does not call the name, but says that the girl called her father, she was crying, she was afraid, and someone else came to the place. But in the past the father was a man who very well knows the forest. And even there were such words that I was afraid of my parents at that moment to say that Vlad was dismembered, buried in this forest, or somewhere in the Mezek swamps, while Viktor Debanov spent the whole day running from the shooting group. Debanov's mother-in-law happily opened the door and let Sergei Semestko in for a cup of tea and commented on the situation. Attention. They didn't call him that boy, he came here with some sort of dema, brought a bottle of vodka, but our vodka was not, there was only wine and champagne for the children. He was very drunk, and then says, oh yes, the Zashabashilsia here is so here, and says, I want to go to the toilet. Dashka says, well, if you want, go. So he went, says, to the toilet. I didn't really see him when he left because I was standing by the barbecue. Someone shouted that Vlad was not there, and all of the party was over. And they went looking for him. And they went to the police, went to my father. Dasha said that my grandmother, we asked my father to drive the Jiguli on the road to shine a light in the bushes. It's dark there. My father turned around and drove away. He didn't search with us. This Demidov, this is a big village. But for children they said they killed him and buried him, and they said all sorts of things. If you only knew what these children went through. Dasha says that I still have these birches before my eyes, but I didn't see him leave. The girl did not sleep for 6 months. And Vitya was called to the polygraph on November 7. This is the 3rd time I know. That was Kondrashkov's mother, and he could cover using his position. No, not to protect. There is no boy pity, of course, and parents, and boy 16 years. Tell me, did you know about your son's and this girl's pregnancies? What kind of relationship? So, if they were, that's what we're talking about. It shows that she had a relationship with the birthday boy. There can be no relationship. And then, if you go back to what was one video was or not, and if you carefully watch this video and all the replicas that sound in this video, it is clear that the guys were shooting. I would like to ask my grandmother about Vlad. I understand that Vlad's phone, for some unknown reason, he did not take it with him. It was in your house, right? Yes, tell me on this phone who called before the search started. No one called. Well, look what happens, that this company is the first did not take part in the search for Vlad. It says a lot, and at the time when Vlad disappeared, and Vlad disappeared from 5:30 to 7 in the evening, about this time, I mean, at 7, they found him missing, and at 5:30, no one remembers where he was. And during that time before the start of the search, official one on Vlad's phone didn't ring. Therefore, I am sure that the company knows what is happening. The conclusion is as follows: if a criminal case that is in the investigative committee of the Smolensk region will be raised to the federal level, I am sure that in 3 months it will be solved. There is no doubt about it. It is very difficult to imagine these are his friends. But this is also strange. If they're worried, why don't they call him on his mobile phone? Grandma said that the phone was turned off. Maybe they called from their own numbers. You don't know that the phone was on, and he left it on the charger, right? Yes, that's why none of them called. You know what? This company is still making a suspect stepfather, who is most looking for Vlad, and none of the company suspicious do not make Marina Kabik one of those who was at this party. Our correspondent found her home. Let's see how she comments on everything. What was it really like? Vlad was with everyone, right? Where did it go then? How would you like to go about your business? What kind of business? What state he was in? Remember? Drunk, he was offended by who someone else there. Just be honest, anyone can hit. No, he just had a bloody nose. There was blood from whom? Vlad's, you've seen it all, it didn't happen. How was it not? There was no such thing. Tell me what happened. You understand that this is not a joke. I understand, of course. I talked to his mother too, and you just came to see me, only you later said how good and what a prostitute I am, and that I drink on weekends, and so on. Who did I tell? You came, you didn't know where my mother works, but you told the women she works with me. Did my mother see what I said? My mother was sitting in the back room, in the back. Did I say that? Maybe she confused me with someone else. I don't think. I think so. How did he disappear? How did you notice that Vlad is not here? Just walked away, then passed, I don't know, a little time. The boy says that he is not there for a long time. He followed him in the direction where he went, and that's it. Then he comes and says he's nowhere to be found. Let's look for him. Who noticed it? Andre, when did her father arrive? What time? Did he come to pick her up? In the evening when we called, it was already getting dark, maybe 8 o'clock. He took us where we said, and then I don't know where he went. I'm in the investigative department. I go to the polygraph. When did you get a polygraph, or are you just at a police station? I passed, and then I still brought a certificate that I have a cardiovascular disease, and even with it I passed. The lawyer Anastasia Fadeva, the mother of the missing Vladislav, said Suleimanov. You thought it was also one of the most interesting clues that the testimony of children sounds that Vlad tried several times to go into the woods. Yes, Andre, indeed, the analysis conducted by me during the study of the case materials showed that this does not contradict, indeed does not contradict the fact that he could have left on his own, from the spot, but the motive was not established yet. Let's see. Our correspondent Sergei Semestko tries to talk to the father of another participant of this party of the head of administration. Hello, the store is here, as everything is convenient for you here. Closed door. Hello, Alexander Gennadievich. I'm listening. We have come to ask you a question. Could you spare us a moment? Don't shoot me. Turn off the camera. No, but we came to you specifically about the shooting in the month of April. It happened at your place. All the guys see you later. Well, why? Wait, you're on duty right now, right? You were at work. And then what? Is that why you're running away? The camera is still on. Then what? A serious question is about the loss of a boy who is involved. All the guys, goodbye. No questions can be asked, guys. Why? presses down on the reporter's leg, pinched my leg like it hurts. And this is the case with the federal channel. Telephone conversation. Can I send an outfit to explain it to the guys there? Well, what is it for? This is my rights, my privacy. Why do I need this? Some kind of shooting here. They are beginning in brazen with the camera to climb into the administration, and everything else. They say that for the guy on this one, who disappeared in the spring, I have an interview taken. I explained that I don't want to give any interviews. They begin to climb up a storm, take camera, to take some of the interview here. Maybe people will start being interviewed. For what? Just call him now. Yes, alright, I'll dial Vitka now. In response to a few simple questions, I received only a crushed leg. Now at 8 a.m. time to contact the police department, remove the beatings. But to Soroniu, we understand that in this city, everyone can be friends, buddies, and nothing can help us here. In fact, we need these two comrades for a polygraph, not children. How do you like the local administration? Communication with the journalist of the federal TV channels. On the one hand, of course, and children, they may be scared, or someone intimidated. Of course there are no questions here, but they should have taken part in the search. If your friends are missing, you will do everything to find him. You will be there in social networks to write. At the bottom, even in social networks, there is nothing like this. He could have gone somewhere, had a fight, whatever. But you have to look for his friend. This is the first well, and the second course of the administration well. No comment what is called. If a person participated in the search, he should say, guys, let's show it on all TV channels. Photo, let's search together. But unfortunately this was not the case here, because the right parents made sure that this issue was discussed on the federal channel in order to attract maximum attention to this problem, and perhaps thanks to you, something will move. Absolutely, would you agree? The journalist still got off well, and that he left there alive. All the behavior this character shows that he really is hiding something, which, as they say, they are hiding into. There is a secret of the investigation. They probably gave a subscription, so that fear. The first investigator left the authorities at her own request. That's right, that's why children are afraid, and parents, even if they are highly educated, are also afraid. 1 second, Olga is your version of where the body could have been put given the boy's condition. If it was the same as in the video, in this state, and given his physique, he still has a high growth and a lean physique to pass a very large distance. Well, it is simply not possible. Rather, he was taken in a vehicle. If the body is, yes, I will say this was hiding in the woods, most likely it would be found, because 30 kilometers still to walk a few times was repeatedly past different people, nor any remnants, and I found old bags, old stuff, but fresh tracks were found, so we imagine that most likely the body was removed, and there is Vodomy. In my opinion, there is a river. Unfortunately, again, the investigating authorities and we were asked to comb the river, chased Vodolazov. Normal divers' work is still not done. If it had been an accident, the body would have been found by now, even if it were animals. Yes, we found the remains of animals, but again, the beast, it cannot safely remove this body, and would like to point out that Ivanov did not pass the polygraph for more than half a year after Targo. He passed polygraph recently. And again, where did he pass it? And with whom? How this all happened we cannot know. We sought an independent examination. Take the video this recently Dolomalis, and let's take the video and pull the sound out of it, divide the voices and conduct an examination. They say, oh come on. And let's remove the tracks. We noticed the tracks 2 weeks later that someone climbed there. We smoked and looked at the side of the tracks. I said, call the coroner. What does Samkovich say to me? What are the footprints? What are the footprints? What am I going to do? Nastya found a prepared near the camp. We couldn't send it for examination for 2 weeks. Again, let me remind you that on 30 April 2019 was held press conference for journalists, which you see on the screen as Senior Assistant Director of the Investigative Committee of the Smolensk region Natalia Swaber says that if you think we are slowing down a case for the fact that there are children of officials, no, it is not. The investigation is conducted objectively. We work. Natalia, we really hope that you are working here and we will not have to attract specialists from Moscow, although we really want to apply and do it. We are monitoring the situation and promise 12 friends of Vlad Bakhov Part 2. If you know them, you can help in the Shay. Arch, call us at the agency. I think that Sergei Dmitryevich will help with his authority, support the search and somehow influence. I will send an appeal to the investigative committee to the federal authorities to strengthen the control over this case. Thank you very much. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. That's it for today. See you later.